Okay, so as promised, here's a video about FHDRAs and what to expect. FHDRA, by the way, is the phrase that people normally use. It stands for First Hearing Dispute Resolution Appointment. It's the first hearing that you're going to go to usually in a case involving your children. Sometimes there's a paper hearing, but most often this will be the first time you go to court and the first time things are looked at. By the time you get to your FHDRA, you should have had a Schedule 2 letter. That's a safeguarding report, usually done by CAFCAS. And what it will have is a very brief outline of the situation and what you think about it and what your ex thinks about it. It's just an initial heads up, and without one of those reports, one of those Schedule 2 letters, they're called, the hearing is not going to be effective. You get to court and one of those has not been delivered to the court, the hearing is going to probably be adjourned and move forward. FHDRAs typically take place about 6, 7, 8 weeks after you get a notification of proceedings, and there's usually 2 weeks once someone puts an application in. So you're talking about 10 weeks down the line from when someone first puts an application in. What to expect? Okay, typically they're going to be about half an hour, maybe an hour. You'll probably be called at about 10 AM. Everyone's called at 10 AM, by the way, not because your hearing is at 10 AM, but because the court calls everyone at the same time and then sees them one at a time. That way you're waiting for the court rather than the court waiting for people to turn up. There'll be an opportunity usually to speak to the other party's solicitor if they've got one, to see if you can come to an agreement. Although, let's be honest, if you're in a court hearing, by this stage, there probably isn't going to be any agreement. The court will almost certainly not order contact between a child and the parent who doesn't have the kids unless the parent who does have the kids agrees to it. They'll say stuff like, we cannot order contact unless there's been agreement. They can, but it's pointless pointing this out because it never happens. If your ex does not agree to contact taking place, it is not going to happen, not even at a contact centre. At the first hearing, supposedly, there's meant to be an opportunity to see if any agreement can be reached. Never happens in my experience. Like I said, contact is never ordered. If it's a legal advisor, by the way, then orders can only be made by consent. So if your ex doesn't agree, then you're wasting your time being there. What will typically happen is the court may decide, if there's a welfare concern, to order a Section 7 report. That's usually done by CAFCAS, but can be done by social services if there has been previous social services involvement. It could be before a legal advisor, like I said. It could be in front of magistrates. You'll typically see 3 of them, sometimes 2. It could be with a district judge. Get to the hearing an hour before it takes place to see if you can negotiate, because even if there's very little chance that's going to happen, believe me, if you can come to an agreement or work out a few things, that's the best thing to do. I would say put a position statement in. I have done a video on that. A position statement needs to be about 2 pages long. Take multiple copies. When you get to court on the day, give a copy to the court staff to hand to the judge, to hand to the judge or the legal advisor or the magistrates before you go in. Also have copies for your ex-solicitor. Most of the time they'll be fine with that, although don't be surprised if someone gets a bit snooty and says, well, court's not ordered it and therefore we cannot accept it. Most of the time it is. Yeah, watch previous videos about position statements. Come up with solutions. And when I say come up with solutions, come up with one solution. Be clear about what you want. Don't say, I want some contact. You wouldn't walk into a greengrocer and say, I want some apples. Be clear about what you want. Come up with a reasonable schedule. Believe me, guys, I see enough people who do things like saying, well, I don't have any contact with the kids, but all I want is an immediate reversal of residence and the kids live with me all the time. Anyway, oh, that's a dog just come in. I hope this helps.